Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for coming in today. I know it's a busy morning for everyone now that it's time for marking and keying in of marks into the EME. I've been asked to share about what my class has been doing in the master's program. So today I will just do a short sharing on what we have discovered through our experimentation with the live chat platforms. I'm Phey Ling, and I'm from Psychological Studies Academic Group. And one of my roles is to teach group counseling in the Masters of Arts Applied Psychology program and the Masters of Arts Counseling and Guidance program. So one of the things that we have been trying to do is to step into the field of online counseling. Currently, within our counseling programs, there is no actual course on online counseling, on how to conduct such counseling programs, but online counseling is extremely popular nowadays. If you're talking about online group counseling itself, just Googling the words online group counseling, you have more than 20 million sites in the world doing online group counseling. But this is something that is relatively new in Singapore, and this is something that we've been experimenting with on and off over the last couple of years. So today what I will be covering will be the background story to what we are doing, why we chose to use Wimba Voice, and why the students said they did not like Wimba Voice, and some of the factors that affect the success of online group counseling, such as the group size, the platform that you use, the time, traffic control, visual cues, and at the end of the day, I will also give you some tips on what works for online group counseling. This is part of an ongoing research project that we are doing, that we've been conducting since 2008. Okay, the background story. Blackboard has been in use in NIE for quite a long time, and I think all of you are familiar with the discussion boards. Has anyone not used discussion boards before? No. Okay, so in 2002, when I was a master's student in NIE, in Dr. Vilma Di Rosario's class, she introduced for the first time asynchronous online group counseling. How the group counseling course runs is that in class, for 7 sessions, we actually sit in a circle, the students sit in a circle, and they take turns as pairs to co-facilitate each group session. So they are members as well as facilitators of group sessions, of different group sessions. And we were trying to replicate the bonding that comes with face-to-face group counseling online as well. So in 2002, when I was a student, I tried for the first time online synchronous counseling using the Blackboard. And it was a very fun experience because we only had 5 members in our group, and all members of our group had access almost throughout the day on this platform. And we would go in and we would talk about how stressed we were at work, all the things that were bothering us, and all the things that we were happy about. And it was very therapeutic for us. It was a wonderful experience because when we would meet every week in class, we would continue from where we left off online. So it left a very deep impression on me. However, after 2002, there was no opportunity for Vilma to implement this again until I joined her as co-lecturer in the class in 2008. And that's when I brought up to her that, hey, wouldn't it be nice to see what how it would work for our students in 2008, since the Blackboard has also been updated since 2002. In 2008, what we had were 2 groups in the class, 2 groups of 8 each, 2 support groups, and in between sessions, face-to-face sessions, they were actually invited, they were encouraged to go online to talk about their feelings, so, and to continue the discussion. And initially, using the asynchronous discussion board, where they could go in anytime throughout the week, was great for the first 2 sessions out of 7 sessions. And then some things happened in the second session. The groups had disagreements online, and those disagreements surfaced, were dealt with in the face-to-face sessions, the third session, and after that, the discussions online fell dramatically. So at the end of that course, we actually sat down, we collected data, we talked to the students and asked them, so what is it that worked for you on this asynchronous platform, the discussion boards, and what didn't? And this is what, and one of the key things that they told us was that not having immediate feedback from other group members, not having immediate feedback from the group facilitators was very difficult for them, because they would talk about deep feelings and no one would respond until a day later or a few hours later. So they didn't want that, and they suggested that we move to a live chat platform. And so in 2009, we decided to move on to do this, to make it synchronous, so that it would more closely replicate the face-to-face sessions. Okay. Before I go on to this, let me show you the platforms that were used so that you have a better idea of what I'm talking about. This is Wimba Voice. This is an archival feature of Wimba Voice. So you can see this is an idea of what you would see on, if you were on a live chat platform. You have the name of the student, you would have the metric number of the student, and then what the student would type. And the student would, if this wasn't archival, if it was live, you would have a little screen here at the bottom where you would be able to see what you have typed, and then you will press send and it will appear here. Yeah. This is, as you can see, a black and white screen. So, okay. This, however, we did not start with Wimba Voice. Initially, we decided, let's do synchronous, but let's do it on the same platform as before, which is a discussion board. And we did do a discussion board. This is from this year. And initially, we thought it should work just fine, because you can just go in, post whatever you want, and then it will just appear and people will just read and respond. Because what we had in mind was something like this. Okay? This is not a secure platform. This is a Singapore Motherhood.com platform where people come in, they talk, and they can talk almost synchronously, because this is a very high capacity discussion board. And with this, and this is a public platform, so we thought, okay, this is fine. This is not really an issue. So when we went into this is a class discussion on an academic issue. Hold on. Yeah, but during our first session on this discussion board failed for live, because as you can see, what you have is a thread and then each posting. And then you can respond individually to each posting. But what this means is that you actually need to click on each posting, to respond to each posting. And so it becomes like a little tree, mini trees within a tree, and the students didn't like it. So that's when we consulted CITE, and they advised us to use Wimba Voice. Yeah. So the Blackboard discussion board was unable to cope with the high volume postings within a very short period of time. There was, of course, a time lag. It was confusing for the students to use. The postings had to be opened individually. They couldn't view all the postings at once, so it was impossible for group discussions. Yeah. So what we did was, when we used the Wimba Voice, it was suggested to us that, hey, it's a secure environment, it's a live chat platform that is very similar to MSN or Yahoo. It should be able to handle large group chats. Our group size was 11, so we needed one that we were confident could handle that. It had archival features, which is great for group members to review what had been said, for facilitators to review what had been said, and for the lecturers to do their research. Yeah, and of course it was, most importantly, within the lecturer's control. However, the students complained a lot about Wimba Voice. Number one, they said that it was a very cold clinical environment. I've just shown you, you have a brief glance at what it was like. It's black and white. It's not like Yahoo Messenger or MSN, which is very colorful, which you can customize to your liking. Wimba Voice does not allow nicknames simply because it is tagged to the Blackboard. So there's no anonymity there. There was no comfort level. You can't express who you are through your nickname. And of course, they said, oh, one of the key comments was, it's like, you know, like the 1990s when we had IRC chats. And they really hated it. Yeah. Yeah. Another important thing about Wimba Voice, that a feature that they didn't have, that is present in MSN Yahoo Messenger, is the little feature that says, you know, so-and-so is typing a post. That was something that was very important for them because it reduced the anxiety of the facilitators, and also having that feature will also reduce the anxiety of the other members as well. The worst part of it was that the students complained about a time lag. This was supposed to be instantaneous, but there was at least 30 seconds to a minute time lag between pressing the send button and your message appearing. There were no emoticons for expressing feelings, and for them that was really important. It turned out that not every student, especially our more mature students, were familiar with using, knowing how to do smiley faces, the colon and the bracket, or sad faces, the manual way. They were so used to MSN chat having colorful, animated emoticons that they couldn't accept the absence at this in Wimba Voice. No video conferencing options. Some of them really wanted to be able to see each other since they saw each other in the face-to-face environment. And for us as researchers, there was no time-stamping option for each post. In MSN Messenger, there are time-stamping options if you choose, so you know how long it takes for each post to come on, for people to process each thought, but not for Wimba Voice. So this is what the students said. The mechanism was not user-friendly, unlike commonly used chat platforms like MSN or Yahoo Messenger. Okay, so they said that the platform must be warm and friendly, must be colorful. That's very important to users. And how about group size? Group size turned out to be a very big issue. In a face-to-face environment where you're sitting in a circle, the group size matters, but not as much as online. If you're sitting in a circle and you have 11 members, you know most people may have a chance to say something in a 1 hour session. In a 1 hour session, live, face-to-face, it is not equivalent in any way to a 1 hour session online. Yeah, so when the group size is too big, the waiting time for responses is too long. And it's made worse because members cannot see each other. They start wondering, are people actually there? Are they doing other work while chatting, while being in this session? Are they interested? Are they engaged? And then not knowing if they were even typing any responses was even more anxiety-provoking. And of course, if you use a live chat platform to make decisions, it takes a lot more time to make those decisions online as well. So the recommendation from the students was no more than 4 to 6 participants in a live chat platform. Okay. The other thing that we discovered from the data that was collected was that timing is everything. Timing is everything from the time that you hold the session to the length of the session, to the response time. It really influences the entire live chat experience. Yeah. Okay. So we, as lecturers, Belle and I, did not choose the time for the students to go online. We just said that we would be there when they are online. The students all decided on 10:30 to 11 p.m. at night because everyone would be there. And they were very diligent, they were very hardworking, they all went online at 10:30 or 11. The problem is that 10:30 to 11 is when the other half of the world is online as well. The other half of the world, which, like the USA, where traffic is heavy. So the internet pathways are pretty jammed at that point. And we think that this might be the reason why there was actually a time lag between pressing the send button and having the words come online. Yeah, and of course, some of the students were really sleepy after a hard day's work, so they were half asleep. Yeah. The session length was 1 hour. As I mentioned earlier, 1 hour online is not 1 hour face-to-face. The literature supports this as well. You need at least 1.5 to 2 hours online, which again means that your sessions need to start earlier in the day as well. And because of that, the students would have, the student facilitators would come up with an agenda. Okay, these are the things we want. We want to do a check-in, we want to discuss this during the body, and then we want to do a checkout. Very often, they could only accomplish 1 or 2 items in the whole list. And because they were busy waiting and people have to think about what's going on. How did the members feel about this? When the students were members in the group, they liked it. They liked the fact that they could really spend a lot of time thinking about what someone had said because they could read what was being said. And then they could take their time to respond. They found that it was less stressful than being in a face-to-face environment where 10 other faces are looking at them. And then they have to frantically think of what's going on and how to respond. They could also think about how best to respond, so that it would be open to less misinterpretation. But the problem is that when you take a lot of time to respond, it also means that everyone else has to spend a lot of time waiting. 1 minute face-to-face in a circle is difficult. It's difficult for most new counselors. It's difficult for trainee teachers as well. To sit down and wonder, how come the class isn't responding? How come the group isn't responding? But it's not so bad because you can see the facial expressions of everyone and you can tell, okay, the person's not responding. Maybe it's because this person seems to be deep in thought. But online, 1 minute is an eternity. You don't know what is happening, right? And that's very frustrating for members. And after a while, they lose track or they disengage or, they rather go to the fridge, they saunter off, they get their apple and their milk to drink, and then come back again. However, when people did start to respond, everyone responds at the same time. And then for facilitators, it became very, very stressful at that point. Because first, they felt very pressurized. They needed to respond immediately. And after having to respond immediately, they also need to type very fast. So not all of them were very good at typing fast. So it was very stressful. And to compound it, there were 2 facilitators. So not only did they have to type, they also have to talk to each other on the phone or on MSN, another platform, to say, okay, this is how we are going to do it. How shall we respond? And then they have to decide to do it. So it was very easy to miss out on certain people. So certain members were neglected, while others were responded to, and it was very tough for them. And then there was, and one of the things that they realized, the more experienced chatters on MSN actually realized that turn-taking was very important. In face-to-face environments, you have your visual cues to tell you when it's your turn to talk and when it's not your turn to talk, right? And turn-taking is automatic. However, online turn-taking is not automatic. Everyone could be talking at the same time or no one could be talking. So the facilitator needs to take on the extra role of being the traffic controller. You need to be able to say, okay, now it's your turn to talk, and now it's your turn to talk. Yeah, you can't just say, let it be. It's not a free-for-all. And at the same time, facilitators needed to be sure that they did not rush members to respond, because people need time to think. Yeah. And at the same time, it was also important, the facilitators realized that it was very, very important for them to constantly invite members to respond. In face-to-face sessions, you don't have to invite so much because you can just look. Or people will feel compelled to respond. Online, people do not feel compelled to respond. Yeah. You also need to acknowledge that they are present. I'm so glad that you are here today. It's wonderful that you've made this time to come, and ensure that every single person has an equal chance of speaking. That's very important. Certain people who are very comfortable with writing, very comfortable with typing, will write a lot, will talk a lot. But then it means that other people who are not so comfortable or who are more introverted will just sit down and coast along and maybe say nothing. So it's important to have the skills of blocking and then encouraging the wallflowers to come out. So our recommendations would be, you need to set and reinforce group rules for participation. And our facilitators came up with a stop-check rule that helps with turn-taking. So they will say, stop, okay, check, wait, everyone needs to think about this, start. What I mentioned before, for facilitators, it was very stressful more so than for members, not to have visual feedback, visual cues. These facilitators were trainee counselors. In counseling training, we focus a lot on the non-verbal communication, which is totally absent online. So you need something else to help with it. And of course, their solution to a problem was using webcams. Webcams are great in a session, in groups where everyone knows everyone and everyone wants to know who everyone is. But the literature tells us that online group counseling works because it is anonymous. So webcams may or may not solve the problem. And true enough, when they were members, the facilitators said that the online format worked for them because it was anonymous, because they felt safe. They could hide the feelings that they didn't want others to see, and they could also they could also talk more. They felt that there were less barriers to communication. So for facilitators, it didn't work so well. For members, it did. For facilitators, there were other stressors as well. Number one, the need to multitask very effectively. In face-to-face group sessions, facilitators don't have to multitask quite as much as online because there are technicalities to observe. You need to be very familiar with the software as well, and you have to manage probably 2 softwares if you are co-facilitating. The silences, which I've talked about, was a big deal. And of course, they did not manage to cover very much in their discussion. The groups did not move or grow very much. So these are some of the recommendations that we would make to reduce the stress level of facilitators. Number one, utilize a round robin for turn taking. Spontaneity is great. Spontaneity doesn't quite work as well sometimes. Yeah. Members must be affirmed constantly for participating. The software needs to allow everyone to view who is in the process of typing. And when they do, everyone can type their answers during the 1 minute spent thinking about a question that has been posed. But people do not hit the send button for their answers until it is their turn to do so. And of course, you want to cut down on decision making and focus more on content and processing. This is very important. Try to do your decision making outside of the live chat platform. Try to do it. Try to focus more on what is actually being discussed and process those feelings, process the thinking that is going on live chat. And some online group facilitation tips, okay? Before the first chat session, make sure that whoever you select are comfortable with typing and writing in the language of communication. In the past, even when we were using the synchronous discussion boards, the feedback was that from some members was that they weren't very comfortable writing. And some said they weren't comfortable writing in English, which was a problem for them. Select a friendly platform. MSN or Yahoo Messenger would be great. I have since sat down with CITE, and the conclusion is that the most secure platform and the most friendly platform are the existing ones like MSN and Yahoo Messenger. If alternatively, use a high capacity forum board that can enable large numbers of people going in and talking simultaneously. Like the SingaporeMotherhood.com platform that I showed you, that one, there are times when we have as many as 10 people, 10 mothers talking online using that forum, and It's very comfortable because it's big, it's clearly delineated, it's colorful, and the capacity is very high, so it's instantaneous. Yeah. The platform should be very secure as well. And of course, if you're using it for class, ensure that you have a training session to make sure that members know how to use the software. CIT has been wonderful in helping us to train our students, but sometimes they need more than one training session to be comfortable. And if you are the trainer, or rather if you are the lecturer, you should also do online pre-brief and debrief with the facilitators as well. Yeah. Of course, define the traffic rules that I've talked about, and allocate 1 to 1.5 hours for a group of 4 to 6 participants, no larger than that. During the first chat session, these are the things that our students actually said were very helpful for helping them to understand what was going on. One was acknowledging the members' presence, informing them of traffic control rules, inviting them to respond, clarifying their concerns. Especially during the first chat session, that's really important because people might be anxious. So you need to talk about trust issues. You need to talk about technical issues. Anything else that might hinder the sessions from moving on. Discussing and deciding group rules. I mean, certain group rules can be, like traffic control rules, can be decided by the facilitators, but certain group rules like confidentiality, needs to be agreed upon by the whole group. And of course, you need to discuss and decide on the topic if the topic isn't already there. During all chat sessions, these are the factors that were most appreciated by members. The ability for the facilitator to empathize, to constantly reflect, summarize, and link what is going on in that discussion, attending to members' feelings, encouraging members to respond to each other, and ensuring that every member has a chance to speak. Another thing that the facilitators brought up, which I did not put in the slides, was that sometimes for live chat sessions, people come in late. But when people come in late, there's usually no space for the facilitators to type a summary of what's going on so that the new person knows what's going on. So it's important for the live chat tool to allow everyone to be able to, every latecomer to be able to read what went on before. Not every chat tool allows that. Wimba Voice doesn't. And of course, if a co-facilitation format is used, and that's not recommended for a small group, the co-facilitators need to use an alternative platform to communicate with each other. And unlike the face-to-face formats, they do not want to have a clear definition of roles. That means you do the summarizing, I do the questioning. It doesn't quite work very well online because one facilitator will feel left out. Yeah. So that's it for my sharing. Any questions or any concerns? Me that they now have a new communication tool called Pronto, which I think they would like to show you, and which probably overcomes many of the issues that we had with Wimba Voice.
Okay, I'm not able to show it here because you need to install the software. But then basically that tool is meant for communication, like similar to MSN. But the good thing is that when you install the Pronto, the students, let's say for example, the students are enrolled to that particular courses, it will actually appears in there. So meaning that it's not like MSN, sometimes they have, a unique name like, Hello Kitty or whatever kind of things, right? And you don't know, actually the students may not be identifying their names according to the list. But in the Pronto, you can actually see the name list pertaining to each course. Yeah.
Not anonymous.
No. Yeah.
Maximum number of students.
No, it depends on the group size. If let's say your course group size is 20, yep, you can actually accommodate that.